Hey everybody, on the road with Big Al here. I'm actually home on some leave time. I thought I'd do a video on my thoughts as a truck driver on the Tesla Semi. Um, I think I'd come at this at a kind of a different angle. Um, I've I started investing in Tesla. I own some Tesla stock. Started investing in around 2012, so I followed the company pretty closely. And also, I'm a truck driver. I own my own truck. I have my own authority. Make my living off of being a truck driver. So, kind of the reason I decided to make this video is I think like there's kind of two different sides. You have like the people who are Tesla enthusiasts, and they'll come out and say stuff about the truck while it'll work, and they're kind of naive on how it'll naive on the trucking business, and they'll say stuff, and as a trucker I'm kind of like, oh, that's not how it works, or that's not how it's going to work in the trucking business. And then also you kind of, it's like truck drivers and kind of people who own Teslas or drive electric cars are two completely different people. And then you have the truck drivers out there that are kind of like, that'll never work, that'll never, and they're kind of naive on the technology that Tesla has been building. And I honestly think, I don't think the technology is quite there yet for semis. It's getting there. The Tesla Semi is going to be a kind of niche product for a little while, which is going to be fine because their production numbers are going to be low, and there's some things that are going to have to come out. I have to show you I got a Tesla Semi. I already have me a Tesla Semi, and here's my here's my Tesla car. I got a real one outside that I drive around. It's what I drive around. I put 30,000 miles on it. Kind of want to get into some things. I'm just going to kind of like some things people who like Tesla, and even Elon Musk's thoughts on Tesla. Like for one thing, I want to get into like kind of when Elon did his presentation on this Tesla semi truck, he talked about how you could charge the thing. There's a mandatory 30-minute break you have to take, and you can charge that truck on a 30-minute break. And I hear people, like when I'm reading forums, like truck drivers will be like, well, when are you going to charge that thing? And then people will be like, on your 30-minute mandatory break. But to me, it's kind of going to be kind of impractical. As a truck driver, you have to really use your clock to your best benefit. And that 30-minute break, you kind of want to take it at a certain time. You got to take it after you've driven for 3 hours. Kind of want to take it after you've driven for 3 hours for the day, because you have 14 hours to drive 11 hours. So if you drive 8 plus 3, that's your 11 hours. So if you take it before you're like say you take it at 2.5 hours, then you've driven 2.5 hours, and then you'll have 8 hours, and that'll leave you 10.5 hours. So at the end of the day, you'll have to take another 30-minute break to get your last 30 minutes of drive time. So you kind of want to take these breaks at certain times, and I take a lot of my breaks when I'm delivering or getting loaded up. So unless there's a charger, if there's a charger there, you're not going to be able to. Unless there's a charger at where you're picking up or delivering, you're not going to be able to charge your truck on that 30-minute break. And another thing is, like, I'm from Kansas. There's like 6 or 7 Tesla superchargers in the state of Kansas. So unless you're at one of those, like, the charging network is going to have to be a lot bigger for these semis than they are for the cars. So unless you're at one of these, happen to be at one of these 7, car chargers, in the state of Kansas, you're not going to be able to charge on that 30-minute break. It's just not going to be and practical. I'll get into some things. One, the importance of range, kind of like some Tesla people kind of downplay the importance of range. The trucks are going to come in like they have a 500-mile range and a 300-mile range, and the range as a truck driver, I have about a 200-mile gallon tank. You can probably get about 180 gallons, 170 gallons in there. I get about 1,000-mile range, and even in a semi with a 1,000-mile range, sometimes we'll run into, you'll be in part of the country and my GPS is telling me you're 450 miles from a fueling station. Or literally, I had a route from Abilene, Kansas, up into South Dakota that I would take quite a bit. And when I drove for Warner, and Warner had their own fuel network, and they give you a little book and it tell you where you can fuel. And on that route, there was one place up in South Dakota I could get fuel. Like clear up, I don't know, like it was 750, 800 miles up into there. And literally on that entire route, one place I could get fuel. So that'd kind of be like what your charging networks would be, like which right now there's zero charging networks for these semis. And I get into another thing, like my car, about 95% of my charging I do at home, and about 5% I do on the road whenever I go on a trip. Those semis, 100%, almost 100% of the charging is going to be done on the road. These chargers, like the charger I have for my car, it can charge my car in 4 to 5 hours. That will take probably a day and a half to 2 days to charge one of these semis. The battery on that is going to be so huge, it'll take almost 2 days to charge it. So like you're going to have to even charge one of these semis on your 10-hour break you're going to need a pretty good charger and be able to charge it pretty decently fast just to charge these semis in 10 hours. They're saying right now, I mean, they're going to have to come out with these new chargers, but they're saying now that you will be able to charge in 30 minutes and be able to charge on your break. But like I said, it's going to have to be these specific chargers. You're going to have them out. You're going to have them in. I think you're going to have one in every single Love's and every single Pilot and every single Travel Center and every single Petro to make this viable. They're going to have to literally be everywhere. And I as like a truck driver, I kind of like to sometimes park off the, I don't like to go, like when it gets late at night, I don't like to pull into a busy truck stop that's probably only going to have 1 or 2 parking spots. That's going to be difficult to get into. I kind of like to either, if I'm driving late, I like to try to get to where I'm going and park at the receiver if they have parking, or park at the shipper. And they're not going to have chargers to charge these things, which is going to make it difficult to, difficult to do that if you can't charge at night. With 300, 500-mile range, you're going to have to be able to charge. You're going to have to be able to charge it overnight. You're not going to be able to park, It's going to really take where you're going to park. The importance of charging time, like I said, that's going to be very important. If they can get it down to 30 minutes, that's going to be, literally like, I like to, like, sometimes you just like the even, like my car at these chargers they have, you can charge 80, you're supposed to be able to charge 80% of it in 15 minutes. And it takes, to get the last 20% of the charge, it takes another 15 minutes, because the closer you get to full charge, it kind of throttles it down. So like, just if these truck stops have a place, like even if I have, you stop to go pee, you pull in, plug it in, go in the truck stop, maybe grab something to eat, come out, um, you know, say 15, 20 minutes, you could get a pretty good, by those standards, you could get a pretty good charge. The faster you can charge it, the better off it is. If they could get it in 30, if they could get these charge times down to 30 minutes, would be great. Um, Trying to look at I wrote down some notes. I said, like, the Tesla Semi will be a niche product at first, which I think it's going to have to be a good thing. It kind of have to be the way it is, because Tesla isn't going to be able to make a lot of these. They're not going to be able to mass produce these at first, and kind of be a niche product. Right now, Pepsi announced the other day that they expect 15 to be delivered before the end of 2021. And a company like Pepsi, a company like Budweiser, I believe Walmart has some of them. They're going to have routes where they could use a truck. They're going to have some they're going to have some routes that are only 300 miles, and they can put a delivery driver on. The delivery driver goes out on his route, goes out, makes his deliveries, comes back, parks the truck in a dock, unhooks, pulls it over, plugs it in, and that truck can, and they'll have a place where they can charge it. And they could probably have a charger that will get the truck charged, and it's, while the guy's on his 10-hour break, while he goes home, comes back, next day the truck's fully charged, pulls out, hooks up to the truck, goes off on his route, and does that every single day. Pepsi, these places have a lot of routes. They should have routes. The trucks right now, the truck Tesla's showing only has a day cab, which will be perfect for those types of routes. 300, 300, some 500 mile range, which I said it'll be a niche product, which will only work with these certain routes. Which there's companies that use them as day routes. They'll have the route. They'll have enough routes to kind of support this, and it'll kind of be a good thing. It'll give Tesla customers. They'll be really limited in how many they can make, how many trucks they can make. Pepsi, Budweiser, Walmart will be their main customers. They'll get some of these trucks on the road. They'll be able to put, I think their plan is to build chargers at the side of people who buy these trucks. They'll just be for day cabs over the night. But then they'll probably be, if a customer requests, like, hey, we'll need chargers here, they could go out, do a load, charge, then come back. We need chargers here. Tesla can start their building as they get more and more trucks out, and they need them. They can build these faster chargers on these routes that their customers kind of ask for. The weight of these trucks, these batteries are going to be heavy. The weight is going to be pretty important. When Tesla came out and announced that these trucks, like, kind of gave the specs on it, they never did really give the weight of the truck. And I think, in 2016 is when they first came out with the video, and a couple years Tesla acquired a battery company that could work on this, and when I read what they had bought, a lot of the technology would really help the Tesla Semi. And I think they've kind of been delaying it to try to get this technology perfected, mainly for the Semi. And like one thing that company they bought, and I think would come really important, and I think would be really important for the trucks. And I'll say this, like, I think one of the most important things for semis will be regenerative braking, and regenerative braking will come in really handy on semi trucks. And basically, regenerative braking is when you like my car, we kind of call it, you literally just drive with one foot. The majority of braking can be just done when you let off on the accelerator, the engine will run backwards, and it'll slow down your car, and it'll slow down the car, and it puts energy while it's slowing down your car. It puts energy back into the batteries. I think this would work great with semis when you're going downhill. You know, it actually feels a lot like when I'm driving my car. It feels a lot like your Jake brake. You can feel the engine kind of slowing your car down. But, you know, of course, the Jake brake isn't putting energy back into your batteries, or you're not gaining all that lost energy when you're slowing down for an exit or slowing down for anything. You literally can be putting all that wasted energy back into your batteries. That's kind of, I don't know, I kind of had more thoughts. I kind of wrote down some notes to go over. Any questions, put it in the comments. I'll do my best to try to answer any questions. It's kind of an interesting topic. Tesla's also working on full self-drive. I think, you know, I personally think they're getting real close to having this for cars, but I think having it in semis is going to be a completely different animal. A lot of these roads, they don't even take in mind. They don't even take in mind semi trucks, like intersections. It's like sometimes I'm in an intersection and I'm like, did they not even think semis would ever be in this intersection? What are they thinking? Like, why? And the biggest problem with these full self-drive is these edge cases that you come up on, like certain deals, and then they have to literally program it for the car to be able to figure it out. And the semis, because it's a bigger truck and these roads aren't specifically made for these trucks, there's going to be a lot more edge cases, and it's going to cause a lot more problems. I think I'll do a video specifically on full self-drive. I have my thoughts. I kind of have my thoughts of what is going to happen when it gets there, and it's like, I personally think it's a lot closer than, like, whenever anybody says anything, they always talk it's 10 years down the road. Anytime anybody talks about technology, it's like it's 10 years down the road. I think it's closer than that. I think for the cars, I literally think it's right around the corner. Within the next year or two, we'll have it in cars. And I think it's going to take a lot longer for semis. And I think it's going to take, I think at first they're just going to replace the drive. They're going to replace they're not going to get rid of drivers. They might give you more hours, and you could literally use these, like, you could use one driver more as a team driver, because they don't have to be doing all the driving. You literally could, like, especially when you're on interstate, you're not going to have to pay attention and keep it in the roads. But when you get to a place where you have to unload, where you come off that exit and you're driving that last 2-3 miles to the shipper receiver, the driver's probably going to have to take over, do that driving, get into the shipper receiver, go in, give them that number, be told what dock to back in, open the doors, back in the dock, slide the tandems, chalk the wheels, unhook from the truck, or whatever they request. It's going to be something that's going to have to be done. You're still going to need drivers for all this. You're going to need drivers to fuel the truck, charge the truck in case of a Tesla, do a pre-trip on the truck, do all these things truck drivers do. They won't be able to get rid of truck drivers, but the technology will be, I think for a while, it'll be a tool. Be able, like the government might relax some of the hours of service. And if you have one of these in your trucks, you know, allow these truck drivers even more hours to drive, because they're not actually doing a lot of the driving, especially on the highways. They're going to be doing the driving. They're going to be driving the truck once it gets off the highways, which is actually the hardest part of driving a truck. Um, Thanks for watching. Like I said, any questions? I'm going to put I kind of talk about mud flap in some of my other videos. I'll put a link in there about mud flap. I actually use mud flap to save fuel. It's just an app. And they have a network of places you can go and buy fuel, and they have discounts on them. I've been using it for almost a year now. Have saved over $1,000 and gotten about a little over $100 in bonuses for fuel. $100 of free fuel. You really can't beat that. They have no fees, no charge to use it. You download the app, tie a credit card to it, and just buy fuel and get the discounts. You can get pretty good discounts at some places. It's pretty easy to use. I do use it. The network is getting bigger all the time. They keep adding more and more truck stops to it. Like I said, I honestly do use it, and that's kind of why I talk about it. If you download the app, I think I get $15 free fuel, and you'll get $15 free fuel. It's kind of a win-win. Plus, you get all the discounts. Thanks for watching. I'm on the road with Big Al. I appreciate it. Thank you.